Manny Abarca is a proud son of Kansas City. He is currently serving Jackson County as a 1st District County Legislator. Manny is focused on the Royal Stadium April ballot, working hard to ensure the Chiefs and Truman Sports complex have a lasting future, and addressing gun access problems in Kansas City. He talks about these things and many more. This is Enterrupt KC. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome to Enterrupt KC, the podcast dedicated to people, places, and things right here in Kansas City.
Yes, sir.
I'm your man, D-Rod. This is JL.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Listen, man, we're just going to hop right into this one, all right?
Oh, yeah,
because,
man, we need to,
we're with
man.
one of the busiest people in town right now.
Man, we're time sensitive going on right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So no rush, but hurry, right?
Well, I mean, we're going to laugh and joke and have some good times,
Absolutely,
man, for sure. Man.
Absolutely, man. So I want to introduce the world, Kansas City, to my brother, Mr. Manny Abarca IV. Manny, how you doing, brother? How's things going?
Things are going good.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Absolutely,
Thanks for having
man.
me.
No, man, thank you. Thank you for joining us on Enterrupt KC, man. So listen, you stopped a meeting to hop into this meeting, and we appreciate that, man. I know you got a lot going on in your world, but I think, man, for us, our world, our guests, you know, they probably want to know, like, where is Manny from?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest that I say now is I was born on the Kansas side, raised on the Missouri side. I was born in Argentine. My family's predominantly in Wyandotte County, Johnson County, and my mom came over here after my parents split, and she was chasing a better life for both of us, really. And so we, at the time, Kansas City Public School didn't have accreditation. We went around that, went to a suburb, and I graduated from Grandview High School. So I got this weird, like, heart in the west side and in Argentine, but, I graduated from the suburbs. So that reality is what I live on a daily basis.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, the thing I remember us talking about early on when we first met, man, is like, man, you a hood kid, man. You come from the hood.
Don't let the suit fool you.
Don't let the suit fool you, man.
You throw a bandana on.
Yeah, the Kohans are different now, but I got the boots too.
They still booting, man.
So you went to, what high school did you say you went to?
Grandview High School.
Grandview High School, man. And then you went to the University of Central Missouri, I saw, and you studied. Well, you went to Missouri State first.
Missouri State first in Springfield for 2 years, finished at UCM, and then stayed around for another graduate degree.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I guess, you know, when did you realize, like, man, I'm gonna hop in the public service scene, political scene? What was that looking like?
Yeah, so it was in Springfield. I'm a fourth generation Mexican American Latino guy, and so my family never struggled with status. Status was not an issue to me. But in college in Springfield, I got amped up because the DREAM Act was going through at the time, right? Providing students who basically came here when they were real young, grew up with everything American, and then realized, oh, I don't have a Social Security number, and life changed, right? So I got to step in and be the voice for those folks who had no voice, who couldn't risking everything they had for speaking out. Yeah. So I was that, right? And so I went to Jeff City, and I was advocating to a senator, and I remember looking her in the eye and being like, hey, you know, here's the story. This is why it's so awesome that we should do this. And she looked me back and said, I don't care about you. I don't care about your issues. I don't care about the people you're telling me about, the sad stories. I'm the one in control. And in that situation, I'm not helping in any way. And I go, oh, that means we got to replace you. Like, that's how this works.
So do you ever see her anymore anywhere?
No, she's gone.
She's gone.
She's retired. That's the thing about politics. It's temporary, right? So, but I did look around and go, who looks like me is in that place doing those things?
For sure.
And at that point, there was no one.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll bet that energized you more too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, then my whole life changed at that point, right? It was like, all right, you know, I enjoyed student council in high school and did student government in college, and helping in that way changed when I realized how accessible government could be if you just plugged in and you utilized it the same way you play any other game.
You just apply yourself to it, man. You can get in there.
That's right.
Do you feel like, I mean, let's talk about voting for a second, because now that you are an elected official, you're a Jackson County Legislator, right? You know, you talked about, you know, that lady had clearly a different opinion than you did. voting is so important, and
That's right.
particularly for communities where we come from, right?
Oh, yeah.
People still struggle with understanding the importance of the vote. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, people like to say, look, my vote doesn't count.
Right.
I've been in elections, I lost by 19 votes, and that would have been to represent, at that very Capitol, the most diverse district in the entire state. I lost by 19 votes to a white woman. So now, again, we lost representation. We lost 6 years of opportunity to advocate for those voices. And that was 19 votes. That's one office, right?
Wow.
As I look now at Crispin across the street, Jonathan across the street, Robert Sagastumi at KC Public Schools, this is the first time in Kansas City, Missouri history in the last 30 to 40 years where Latinos had representation at every level of government in Kansas City.
Right.
And that's only the second time ever.
Wow.
And you know what I'm proud of, man? I'm proud of the fact that I knew you a long time ago before this, you know. Even Crispin, man, shout out our brother Crispin.
Yeah, man.
You know, we had an episode with him a while back. I'm just so proud to see you guys representing the communities you come from, man. So thank you for doing that. Who were those early life influences for you?
There's a countless folks. I mean, the one thing I can say for sure is it was countlessly teachers. And I'm not going to lie, it was my black community brothers and sisters who were like, look, I see what you're doing. I see that you have a clear voice. Let me help guide you, right? I mean, and that can be anyone from professors at my university who gave me those opportunities to Freedom Incorporated locally that said, look, you know, I see what you're doing. I'm going to rope you in. Let me show you how we did some things.
Right.
Take this back to your community and let's work together.
Right.
And I will tell you right now, I'm a part of this coalition here, the first ever black and brown majority in the Jackson County Legislature. I mean, they're my biggest allies, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can look at those folks. I can say Congressman Cleaver. I can say Teresa Garza. I mean, there are people that I look to still to tap into for, hey, here's a situation. Give me your opinion. Give me your perspective. I mean, I do that every time I can.
Right. So with that, man, you're talking about all them people that you talk to, a countless amount of people. Is there any particular set of advice that somebody have given you that kind of helped you also with that?
Be the first one there and the last one to leave. I think that's the consistent opportunity maker right there. Is
That's
that
right, man.
you show up early, you unlock the door, you set up the chairs, and you put those chairs away before you leave. I mean, you get an opportunity at that point to meet the janitor on both ends, right?
That's a good one, man.
So I think that's the best thing that I've been told, and the same is like treat the janitor like that's your family member. Right. I mean the title doesn't mean anything for the folks. I mean I tell my wife all the time, like she goes, hey, don't they know who you are? And I'm like, they don't care. No one cares about that. I'm not wearing a name tag, and even if I was, they'd be like, okay, move on. Like great.
You know, we hear that a lot from people, man.
Oh man, I was actually going to say that. I mean, man, Carlos Gomez,
Yeah,
I mean,
he says that.
everybody has said something like that.
Oh
Angie.
yeah, for sure, man.
I also saw it looks like you're going to get your doctoral degree at the University of Missouri.
Yeah, man, I'm still struggling on that one. I finished 3 years through the COVID years, and that between being on the school board at that time, being in the congressman's office, and finishing that educational program, I struggled. And so I'll be the first to admit, like, I still got to pick that up and finish it because I paid for it nearly already. I just hadn't written the paper yet. And so I'm all but doctorate or all but dissertation. So
every time somebody tells me I'm going to go get my doctoral, I'm like, why?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you why I did it. You know, as I was on the school board, I kept telling the superintendent, Dr. Bedell at the time, I said, look, I need more Latino teachers. I need more Latino administrators. He goes, cool, I agree with you. Go find them. And I was like, all right, challenge accepted. Let me go see.
Yeah.
And there ain't but a handful here in the region, right? And so then I was like, well, again, I need to make myself one of those. Like, if I'm going to be accountable, less than 1% of all the Latinos in the country have a doctorate degree, a terminal degree. Less than 1% of every one of us who are here.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. It is crazy, man. I got my master's here a year or two ago, and I remember people showing me those statistics.
Crazy.
And it was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane, to your point. You talked about being being part of the KC board. You know, it looks like you're treasurer. Is that still real?
No, so I had to end my service on the Kansas City Public School Board when I took this role on, so that one I set aside. That was one of my favorite jobs that paid $0.00.
Sure. And then Did you set aside Jackson County Democratic Committee as well? Or
I'm still on that.
still on that?
I'm filing to be again another member. I've also been the secretary of the entire state party, and being, I think, one of the first ever Latino elected statewide in that capacity to lead the party itself.
Yeah. I mean, how much pride did you have, man? I mean, it had to be a lot, right? I mean, you come from this city, both sides of the state line, Kansas and Missouri, man. That's why we have these in front of us, because that's what we represent.
Yeah.
That's what you represent as well, though, right? Did you just is there a big smile on your face, man, whenever this all happened for you?
I think I haven't really realized that. I think that's something that my grandma and my dad and my mom, they all see that stuff. I'm just like, look, I got more work to do. I still got to do this, this, and this.
No
and this.
time to celebrate.
And I think when I left the school board, I realized most at that point, like, time is precious. It's a resource you're never going to get back. And like, not to say don't celebrate, but like, celebrate and move on, like, because we got more work to do, and any time wasted is time wasted. You're not going to get it back. You're not going to have that opportunity to serve the community.
Right.
Yeah, man, that's a really good point. And obviously, because how long have you been Jackson County Legislator?
So this is my second year out of 4. I'm
I was
halfway
gonna say,
done.
Yeah, and man, you have to be 10 times busier. As busy, I should say.
This is a part-time job. This ain't a full-time.
I know, brother. I know, and man, let me tell you something. It's a full-time job from what we've seen, or more. I think for our audience, Manny, people don't really understand the difference. Some, not everybody, some people don't understand the difference between county and city.
Right.
Okay, you talked about like Crispin, right? He's across the street. Jonathan's across the street. What is that difference? Help people try just high level understand what is the difference of your initiatives at the county level versus the city.
It's larger. I think it's a larger footprint. Every level of government deals with a different section of what we do and what we see, right? And so people call me all the time, like, "Hey, my potholes," and I'm like, "Whoa! That's across the street. Let me give you his number. Let me give you Christmas. Here you go. Here's his number. Here's who you talk to." But it also is incumbent upon people like us to help educate, right? When it comes to the county, we are the collector of taxes. People are mad at us about that, and rightfully so, but it also is important to know that we collect and redistribute. Right. And so we are the ones giving the municipalities money. We're the ones collecting it off of you and giving it to the school districts, the fire districts. On the back of that bill, it tells you exactly where it goes. And promise, Jackson County is one of the lowest ones that keep your dollars. So one reason or another, we are the collector and distributor of the taxes. And then on top of that, in Jackson County, we are also the ones who own and facilitate our sports teams. That is a county-wide tax. So we own the stadiums and we own the land the stadiums are on. That's ours, the county. We own it.
So you've been getting real busy
There's a little
here.
bit. There's a little bit of busyness around
there.
that.
Related to
there's
that
a lot of
things.
things.
I saw also too the committees you're a part of, anti-crime, health and environment, housing and homelessness. Which one of those, or all three of those, I'm assuming those are important? Did you select those? I mean, how did that work out? What does that look like?
Yeah, so politics is a numbers game. Like, people think it's like people and talking and showing up and shining. It's a numbers game. We did not win the majority, so I did not get to pick these committees.
Okay.
Last year I did, and I chose budget and health and environment, and housing was chosen, but I created diversity, equity, inclusion as well. So there are committees that are here that I'd love to participate in, and I still can, but just not as a voting member of those.
Right.
But right now, health and environment is mine. I'm the chair. We lead it together as a group, but it's how we're driving gun reform right now, is through that, right. Addressing the opioid epidemic. There's a lot in that committee that I can do, and I'm leaning into it.
Is there overlap between what you were doing and with the city as well, or different cities? Because how many cities are in Jackson County?
That's 12 of them.
12 cities, right?
Yeah.
Some of the biggest cities in the metro.
Yeah. Independence and Kansas City are the largest ones. They're independently operated, basically, right. Class 1 cities. So there is overlap. There's always engagement. I think one of the unique things that this younger body of folks that got elected recently, they're more willing to work across the street. And it's not silos here. I talk to the city officials almost every day. I talk to the mayor almost every week.
Right.
I tell them, like, look, I only represent Kansas City, Some of my peers represent all the entire county. Some of them just represent 1 or 2 cities.
Right.
I only have Kansas City. So I
Right.
told the mayor and the council, use me like another member of the council. Like I'm another advocate for you. I got another pot of money over here. We got another opportunity.
Right. More resources.
That's right.
Go further.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You mentioned gun control, man, and I think that's definitely something I know you've been very vocal about. I guess my question would be, Manny, in your mind, what type of gun control? What does gun control look like in your mind? A policy that makes sense for us.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, my vision of what should change in Missouri and Kansas too, to some extent, is what we all believe we have already. What we all believe in Missouri, I think, is that juveniles should not have and be able to carry a gun openly.
Yeah.
That is legal.
Which they
right
do
now.
now.
It's legal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and in addition to that, people, I think, commonly believe that maybe there should be a background check before you get a gun, maybe a waiting period, making sure that people who are abusers of domestic violence situations don't have access to a gun or can't go get one, right? Mm-hmm. Folks with mental health issues are getting the help they need, they access to mental health, but also aren't going to get a gun. Right. And in Missouri and in Kansas, there's no waiting periods. There's no background checks. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you're going to carry a gun in public, maybe you should have a permit for that. You should have gone through some classes, know what to do, because the moment you pull that out, that's somebody's life or your life on the line in that moment. Yeah. These are basic things that I'm talking about gun control. And if you want those high-powered, high-capacity magazine stuff, then that's a whole separate thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's federal permitting and other protections, because sadly right now, too many people are willing to draw that weapon out and solve their problems and have a conversation. Right. And right now, to me, this is about gun access more than it's about gun control.
Yeah, okay. But with that gun access, I mean, that's a real touchy subject. Most of the criminals, people out there doing it, people believe are getting them through crime by being stolen. Right. I don't think that it's, I think people believe that they're not the ones out there going and buying them. Sure. I mean, there's a lot of responsible gun owners out there, you know. I don't know, man.
So I think, with that, the opposition, right?
Yeah.
There's opposition clearly to any, or maybe some gun control measures, maybe any gun control measures. And the opposition would say, well, you're impacting my Second Amendment right. Sure. Right? I mean, that's kind of the loud cry, what people are saying. What is your view on that?
I mean, the Second Amendment was a mistake that was corrected in the amendment process in itself, right? Mm-hmm. And when we wrote that amendment to the Constitution, that's hundreds of years ago. The level of firepower and the high capacity response that we're talking about now, I truly believe you should not have an AR-15 to be able to walk out, go buy across the street today, right now, walk out with the guns and the magazines to go do whatever you want with. Mm-hmm. That's what I believe. Yeah. When it comes to gun access and gun control, you split the difference, it's all the same to me. Mm-hmm. I think common sense reforms help protect people's lives. Yeah. There were 850 good guys with guns, snipers on the roofs, police standing at every corner at the parade, and Lisa still lost her life. Right. There was no access. There was no ability to protect because somebody had shot before there was a response. Right. We're talking about response. I'm talking about proactive efforts, and that's the gun control reforms that I'm talking about are needed.
Yeah, and I've read, I've kind of watched this conversation really since, unfortunately, rest in peace, Lisa, right? Since that happened. Yeah. And I see people have said, well, it's a mindset. It's not a gun control issue. I think growing up in the environments we grew up in, right, guns were accessible. We knew that.
It's a cultural component.
Yeah, it's a cultural component. It's part of that environment, right, that we grew up. Where do you draw the line on that mentality, that that mindset that it's a mindset, it's not a policy issue? Where do you draw the line on that?
I mean, I think without a doubt, people don't have the luxuries of being raised the way that we were, right? And the protections that both our parents and role models in our lives sheltered us from us not being that. And in some of those situations, it is a control issue. It's an access issue because the lack of those resources, the lack of investments in communities, the lack of mental health reform, good schools, all of these things contribute down a path for somebody to get in the wrong place at the wrong time with a weapon, right? And now as I look at the data, we're seeing juveniles committing crimes that are on a tier far beyond anything we've ever seen before. And we see a government in Jefferson City far removed from the urban core saying that's an urban issue. And all we're doing is watching black and brown lives perish, whether that be through death or through incarceration, and a majority white population in Jefferson City saying, we're good guys with guns out here in the country. It's not affecting us. It's not impacting us. We're scared of the city until I got to come to a Chiefs game, but then I'm still scared. So, I mean, it's a counterbalance of like, we got to self-police ourselves, but also these juveniles should not be having these weapons. They should not be able to go out and get them. They should not be out on the streets breaking into cars. There should be accountability there, both for the parents and for those juveniles.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. As a matter of fact, I went into Dick's Sporting Goods, Academy. Yeah. And I was just looking around, and I was walking in the aisle, and there's 3 younger boys, man, in there, and one of them was just hyping up the other one to buy a gun, and he bought it.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I mean, they looked young. You know, of course. I don't know, man. I hear what you're saying on that, man.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, it's divided people, right? It's divided groups of people.
Neighborhoods.
Do you feel like this should be a political issue?
I don't think so. I mean, this is a public health crisis right now we're dealing with in Kansas City on both sides. And I think the reality is we can keep talking around the issue, but bullets hit people. Mm-hmm. And I think in Lisa's situation, she was an innocent bystander. Her nieces were innocent bystanders.
For sure, they all were.
And whether she had a gun or they had a gun, that wouldn't have mattered because they didn't have a chance to react. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about, the protection. If we're willing to accept, we need to do something about this access, these steps, right? Even responsible gun owners agree there should be steps. I shouldn't be able to go into Dick's and just walk out with a gun and 7 bags of ammo. Come on, guys.
No. I mean, man, you're making a lot of great points, Manny. For sure. You know, one of the things that I know people get really frustrated and angry about is when they hear people say things like, you know, we don't want to hear anymore.
Guns.
Well, yeah, we're going to take your guns, you know, this and that. But things like, you know, we don't want to hear any more about thoughts and prayers. We want action, this and that, you know. You're a man of faith. I know you are. I'm a man of faith. I know D-Rod is. You know, how do you address things like that, man? Like, how, you know, in your mind, what is the best approach when it comes to that? Because I feel like that is where things often start dividing, right?
Sure.
Like, oh, I can't be a person of faith and believe in this as well, right? So can you talk about that for you?
Prayers without actions aren't really prayers, right? Like you're just hoping at that point. And that's not to say that something may not happen, but why would you never put your feet towards the direction you're trying to walk? Like that makes no sense to me. If you're going to pray about it, be about it. And so, I mean, I think for me, you know, in those moments, I cried. I cried for many reasons. And when I found out it was Lisa, I cried more because I knew her, right? Yeah. But are we still crying about the people who died today? The cop who was killed today, the server who was killed today from, again, access to guns, right? This is a different scenario. I mean, I challenged somebody before I got on here who was talking about, look at these minorities, these thugs, right? I said, is that a thug? Because it's the same killing. We're killing people at this point, and it's from a gun. So, you know, I think some of this is personal accountability. Some of this is about being about what you're talking about, and that's what I'm going to try and do. And to that point, in Missouri, I don't have the power to regulate my own city, my own county. The state has taken that away, and that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Is if the state believes that they're good enough to do that, why am I here? What's the point?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, man, I hear you. I just know, you know, some people, they really start balking when they hear things like that. And, you know, I admit, you know, I'm a person of faith. You know, I wore this shirt for a reason, you know, because I believe in prayer, you know, but I also believe in action. And I think you know, I can completely understand what you're saying about that. Yeah. What are you doing? I've seen you on the news, man. I've seen you on the news. You were on BBC. I mean, you've been on national, international,
the Australian
local.
Today show.
I mean, what? You're clearly being that vocal, you know, proponent, right, of those ideas and those policies. What are you doing beyond that? What is the work people don't see?
Yeah, I mean, I think every week I have dedicated 10:30 on Mondays as the time we talk about gun violence prevention. And I say gun violence
And
prevention.
what do you talk about that on? Where's that at?
Here, right here in this building, Jackson County, second floor. It's open to everyone.
Okay.
I set it up so that we talk and we hear testimonies from victims of gun violence.
Oh, yeah.
And this is anyone from they lost a friend, family member, to they've been shot, to any victim, right? Even grandma who's sitting out the back and hears gunfire after New Year's Eve in the Northeast, and that's me every weekend. Those are victims of gun violence, right?
Yeah.
And so we hear testimonies from the public first, and then we jump into the experts and we hear about, what are their solutions from their perspective, whether that's domestic violence, whether that's from the police, whether that's from the health providers. How is gun violence impacting them, and what solutions do they have to offer? And really, for me, as I've tried to sort through this and figure out what can I do policy-wise, because that's who I am, there's not much I can physically do in this building. I can pass some things around guns, but the state has said the county cannot touch anything in or around to do with guns. So that means I can't prohibit guns from being somewhere. I can't create a permitting process. I can't touch any of that. But I can figure out, all right, when it's court days in this building, I can make sure that abusers and domestic violence survivors are separated. We create a system that there's protections, right? When that domestic violence committer is found guilty, we take their guns from them. That's a court process, right? We can do that kind of stuff. But I only know that because we heard about it out here.
Right.
And we have the relationships to say, hey, courts, we need to amp this up, right? I heard about juvenile detention. We went from 100 beds in juvenile detention to 25.
Wow.
Well, why are we having juvenile violence issues? Probably because there are no beds.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that we're hearing on Mondays, and we're hearing from the victims themselves telling us, look, I'm glad you're doing this. We need to do this more because this happened 15 years ago. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And it's those type of testimonies and stories that I want to hear, and I want to perpetuate those things until we find solutions.
Well, I mean, just the numbers speak for itself, man. Last year, right? Record-breaking 182,
Right.
Compared to 10 years ago, it was only at 100.
Right.
Yeah. It's that is one unfortunate, reality that we live in here, right, in Kansas City.
We don't have to. We choose to.
No, and I get it, man. I get it. I think, for every idea, there's somebody who has a different idea,
Sure.
right? For everything that you probably push, there's somebody else saying, no, we shouldn't do that. So I guess my question would be, who are those people that are your biggest challengers or challenges?
And how do you get about dealing with them, man?
So I say this all the time, and whether I say it and try to hold up to it or not, I don't play poker where people got nothing to lose and who don't know how to play. Why? Because I'm just wasting my time in that situation. And sadly, those are, I think, my biggest opponents right now. Folks who are half educated on one issue or another, folks who just got an opinion but don't want to hear the other side. That doesn't really move us forward anywhere in any direction, right? Because that person's made up their mind, and me saying anything to them isn't going to change it.
Right.
So, I think for me, that's a distraction. I think those are my biggest opposition. Everything else, I can pretty much find common ground. There's not a person here or, an advocacy group, maybe the NRA probably, because that's just a money thing. But there's not one opponent. It is truly the person who goes, man, Manny said this thing, I don't like it, I'm done with Manny. That's not how we treat elected officials, right? You can't.
Right.
That's not the tool, right? You can't get mad at the screwdriver because you picked up the wrong one. Maybe it's not right for that fit. Maybe it's a flathead and you need the Phillips.
Yeah.
But you don't throw it away, right?
Right.
And so that one job may work with somebody else, but you're still going to need the Phillips in the future. So that's my biggest opposition is folks who do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I like your analogy, the poker analogy, man.
I like it too.
Because I hate playing poker with them people too, damn it.
Yeah, whatever, I'm all in.
I always grab the right screwdriver too.
Yeah,
man.
right, yeah.
I'm all in. I got more money to buy in. I'm like, what? I don't.
Yeah.
My wife's going to be mad at me if
That's
I
right.
lose all this
That's
money.
right.
Yeah, man.
Well, the policy. So where do you spend your time? I mean, I was showing a photo, of you and Theo Biden, right?
Yeah, Uncle Joe.
Yeah, Uncle Joe. And where do you spend your time? I mean, gosh, man, you're everywhere. In fact, when you and I were talking about doing this, I was on the West Coast. You were on the East Coast, right? And I was like, Man, that's crazy. We're on two different coasts talking about meeting in Kansas City.
That's right.
Where do you spend your time, man?
Mostly in this building. Like this is a part-time job, so I check in here a couple times a week. I've got one teammate, Rebecca Meska-Hogan. I got to shout out because she's here doing the work every day. And look, I'm texting. Here's the list of things to do this week. Like, let's crack this out. So she's here executing those things. So I check in when I need to be. But a majority of time, I'm where I need to be, whether that's in D.C. Like last week or the week before that, or I'm down at a neighborhood association meeting where I'm going to head after this, or it's their bath time last night with my family trying to get through the normal routine.
Yeah. I want to make sure people see this photo, right? Because, I mean, dude, here's the thing, man. It doesn't matter, Manny, whether I agree with you 100% or disagree with you 100%. And for us at Enterrupt KC, we're not about providing an opinion. What we want to do is we want to recognize people who are out here doing real work, right?
Appreciate that.
For the city,
this makes us proud, man. I mean, honestly, because, brother, I know where you're from, man. We've had plenty of conversations, and people like us, where we're from here in this city, we don't get opportunities like this, man.
No.
So, I mean, keep up the good work, man. Thank you for representing us.
I appreciate
in so many ways. So let's talk about something else that I know is keeping you busy. And I'm gonna bring this in because I wanna.
Here's an old trophy.
It's a big topic, so I gotta wear a big chain. I gotta wear a big chain. Let me see if I can.
I know there's some allegiances lying here. I guess.
Here we go. What is the saying? Forever Royal, right?
Forever
you
Royal,
believe.
Forever Royal. I've been believing since. Here's the thing, man. I am a true Royals fan.
Yeah.
When nobody was watching the Royals, I was watching the Royals.
We was going to them games, man, years ago, man.
Because they're free tickets. Why not?
I think that, or we paid $5 for them.
Remember the $1 hot dogs and $1?
Yeah, man.
Come on, man. I remember sitting out there in the home openers, freezing to death with my son when he was 2 years old, 3 years old, and I mean nobody was out there for those games, home opener games. It's a big deal right now.
It is.
Right?
It is a big
deal. A lot on the line.
That's why I brought this, brother. So, you said some things earlier that I think people just don't know.
No clue.
You said the county owns the stadiums, right?
We own the buildings of the stadiums and the land, the buildings, and the parking lot, right? So, Truman, we own everything within that.
Right. What is that? That's clearly a lease agreement, an agreement of some sort. What is that exactly?
Yeah, the teams are our tenants.
They're your tenants. Okay. So the teams, they can go find another location. I know the Royals have announced they want to come to the Crossroads District downtown, right? Closer to downtown.
Or they might kick rocks.
Yeah, or they may.
Or they might do that, which we're all hoping they don't.
Right.
What, I guess, to make it easier to digest, okay? So we can know how to talk through this thing.
Yeah.
The Royals want to come downtown, Crossroads, right?
Yep.
The Chiefs follow that up with, okay, this is what our stadium this is what it's going to look like for us, after the fact. What is the work that you are involved in directly with that, all that?
I think leading up to this point now, the work had been get to a ballot. Because it's easy for anyone to say no. That's easy. To say no is easy. To say, let's figure out how we're going to make this work is way harder. And I'm not saying one or the other, honestly, but I did say instead of having one person in the county executive or 4 or 5 people in the legislature say yes or no, we will let 700,000 people have the opportunity to weigh in. Every registered voter in Jackson County, this is so big, so important, so much money. Everyone who lives here should have an ability to weigh in about their opinions.
Yeah,
and
should.
to me, it's up to the teams to sell them on a yes or a no. It's the same for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said that, right? You said, it's up to the teams to sell Kansas City voters on a yes or no. So again, back to the voting, right?
Yep.
Back to the voting. So if you want your voices heard, go vote. And when is the voting?
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Do you have an official opinion on this?
Not yet. So this is the work to the previous question you asked. I have dedicated my time and focus on this issue on the community benefits agreement. And what that means is, what are the true tangible benefits a Jackson County taxpayer, Jackson County resident is going to receive in exchange for those tax dollars, right? This is $2 to $4 billion, depending upon the scale and how much interest is gained over the years. But this is significant investments. This money can go towards any other project. Why should we invest it here? What value does it bring back? What value does it bring back for our region, our city?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys sit here, I mean, Chiefs hat, Royals gear, but the reality is when you leave this city, you leave Kansas City in the region, what do you rock? Usually it's a sports team shirt, right?
Yeah.
And so that is a cultural identity. It goes farther than just the return on the dollar per dollar. It's a culture. It's a legacy of Kansas City. It's our region, our growth.
Yeah.
If we lose these teams, we're the smallest market with 2 professional sports teams. If we lose them, what does that mean to us? What does that mean to the tax dollars? What does that mean to the workers who are there right now fixing everything?
Yeah.
It goes beyond just, I like this stadium, I like this location.
It's way deeper.
It goes
People
way
don't know.
deeper than that.
Yeah, man.
You know, I think there's a lot of what is going on with this right now.
Me too.
Know? I mean, because people, they're trying to pick up the pieces that are just seem to be a little bit scattered, right?
Mm-hmm.
They
A
seem
lot
to be,
scattered.
yeah, they
Very
seem
much
to be,
so.
They seem to be a little bit scattered for people. So, the Royals, did they come to the county and say, "Hey, we'd like to move our stadium"? And when about did that happen?
That happened way before me. That happened as early as 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
And declaring like, look, we consider. When John Sherman took over ownership, he started saying, look, I think we might need to move downtown. The leagues are moving in this direction because they're plugging into a broader environment that already exists, or they can create to add value.
Yeah.
And this is the entertainment district, the restaurants.
Right.
They want to plug into already an environment that's booming.
Yeah.
That's not what's happening at Arrowhead and Kauffman Stadium right now, right? That's it. You're surrounded by parking lot.
Yeah.
And so they wanted a different venue. And the reality of that situation is they're locked into 2031. 2032 is when the rubber hits the road. Something's going to happen then, if not sooner. And so, when I came here, I think the Royals and the Chiefs both reached out and were like, look, we want to extend and we want to make a longer term commitment, but these are the things that we want to consider. There are going to be changes. And those things I think are fair for us to consider. Do I like everything that either team has done? Absolutely not.
Right, yeah.
but-
There's a lot of things people don't like
Yeah.
that they're hearing, man, but
But are you willing to throw out the baby with the bathwater? Like that's where it's at right now. Like the reality of, are you willing to cut that cord and be like, sorry, Patrick, try out Kansas, maybe try out Las Vegas, try out any other place that's lost a team lately, because a lot of them have lost it.
they are.
And maybe that's where they go.
So because you guys own the stadiums and the land around it, right, is this an ask on the team's part, or is this in your opinion, is this like a ultimatum?
From the teams,
Yeah.
the ultimate thing from us is a no, and the ultimate rebuke is a no vote in April. And that's another thing. Like, to me, putting it on the ballot was the easiest option for me, because then I get to have 700,000 people weigh in. It's not just on me to be the yes or the no.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think this is where people miss out, is they're complaining about me right now. Well, you put it on the ballot before we had all the answers. What did you think was going to get the answers? You think you're going to have all the answers before? No.
Right.
So this is the squeeze.
Yeah, it seems like that's where it should go.
I mean, to some degree, right? I think
Right.
people compare this to the 2006 lease negotiation, where the county executive and the legislature were on the same page, in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. Right now, he's on the dock, we're on a boat. And so how am I supposed to get that? That didn't work. We tried that on other issues.
Right.
He didn't want to be there. So then I got to make the best of what I got. The best of what I got is put it on the ballot, let people decide, let the teams get squeezed by the people or by us to give the best deal to taxpayers they possibly can. That's where we're at now.
Yeah, I feel like I can freely express my opinion because I live in Kansas.
That's right.
So I can say, hey, downtown stadium would be kind of nice.
Of course.
In your mind, though, and I know you're not going to share your official opinion, but in your mind, what are the benefits of a downtown stadium, and what are the benefits that you don't want to see.
Yeah, these are the things that we're negotiating right now. Before we started here, this was the calls that I was on. Mm-hmm. The background work is what we're talking about. And don't worry, just because you're in Kansas, don't think you're not going to pay a little extra. We're writing these things in.
Yeah, they're going to get you one way, man.
Remember when there's that processing fee on there? When you log into Kansas.
Shit.
That's right. I mean, and you come and you show up and you spend your dollars at the restaurant, or you have to park somewhere. Like you're and these are the things that I think is so hard to quantify. I know the economists talk about how stadiums don't add direct value dollar per dollar, and that is true without a doubt. The data is there for that. But the reality is this is a cultural identity thing, too. How do you account for you wearing that Super Bowl hat when you travel anywhere and people talking to you because of that hat? Yeah. It's those tangential things. I mean, some of these stores wouldn't exist without the sale of those sports
that
teams.
Merchandise,
right?
Man.
Like,
You're
so
right.
Raleigh House, what do they sell? Sports stuff. So there's other touches there. And for me, looking at this, I want to see this be catalytic, not catastrophic. I've said that over and over and over again, right? And yes, as we look at Crossroads, we look at the sacrifices of the folks that are there. But how do I make their lives better than where they're at right now, right? How do I make sure that bar that might be getting taken over gets a seat in that place for 85 games a year or more, we hope? Yeah. They're getting direct dollars from the 35,000 people they see per game, right? I mean, how do I make sure and leverage those small business impacts as well as the impact of that stadium, right? You saw the lid component being covered, right? Mm-hmm. They're adding 3 more phases, I think, to the lid that weren't there in the planning, in the design. And that's a major component of this, as well as offsetting the commitments from the city on power and light. There are additional things that I'm looking at that have direct community benefits that I can't wait to share from this community benefit.
When you're ready to do it right now, you can, man.
If you want to share some breaking news,
we've been known to have people do that already.
What I will say is the community benefits that I'm waiting for are multiple millions of dollars in addition to whatever else you're seeing, right? And so these are the paperwork documents. These are the things in writing in the contract that we're talking about, whether that's empowering small businesses and construction to be a part of the new construction of this building, right? You're talking about a $1.5 billion construction project. How many Latino millionaires can we make off of that one job, right? How do we create that wealth for our community, for those small businesses? How do we expand opportunities for folks through this project? And so those are the types of things that I want to see out of it. Right. The negatives, you're seeing it already in the news, right? You're hearing
what they're
about
talking about.
But
which they don't talk about them positives.
Yeah, I mean that's it too. I mean, I think folks that are seeing a lot of the negatives right now got to realize the potential opportunity in the future for everyone, not just for them, but also for them, because they're going to get bought out. There are going to be people who are going to get paid to move and lost wages and revenues. Like that is an approach that I see the teams taking. But at the end of the day, 20 years from now, are we going to say we're glad we let the Royals go or the Chiefs go? Or we're going to say we're glad we kept them here.
Yeah. Here's one thing I think we can all agree on, and I'll speak on behalf of Kansas City for this. We just want a winning team. I mean, honestly.
Well, they got to drop some money.
$100 million.
They did that.
And listen, signing Bobby Witt, I mean, you talk about something the past ownership struggled with.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out Mr. Sherman, man. I mean, seriously, because
he talks about that a lot.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was like, seeing Bobby Witt, I'm a huge Bobby Witt fan, as many people are, and to see them actually invest in that young talent was something Kansas Cityans, real Royals fans like us, we know never really happened in the past, right?
Yeah.
So I think more than anything, more than the downtown stadium, I will tell you, because, man, the city, and people have talked about this on Enterrupt KC, they've said, what we see Kansas City today, power and light, tons of people down there celebrating Chiefs wins, Sporting KC, all these glamorous things we see about Kansas City, getting all this free media on national news, it all started back with the Royals in 2014, 15, right? That's the Royals are the ones who really started it, and it just was a snowball. And then here come the Chiefs, right? And then
Sporting,
current.
yeah.
I mean, then you got the Monarchs on the Kansas side winning championships, So And there's just so many positive things there, man. So, Royals, we want a winning team on behalf of Kansas City.
Next time I talk to John Sherman, I'll tell him from Enterrupt KC, we want a winning team. And I will tell you, he and others have told me we're going to have a winning team. And I guarantee you, leading up to that April ballot, I bet you we're going to win some games.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Hey, I'll bet you we are.
I bet you I'll be there.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I promise. So the vote's coming. Let's talk hypothetically, if you don't mind. It's a no vote. Can the county override the vote anyway?
At great cost, but I don't think it would happen, right? I mean, I think you're talking about we could issue some bonds that are high interest, that are bad financial decisions for the county. Mm-hmm. I personally would never be there for that. But there are alternatives as well to making sure that the Royals stay in the region, right? And that doesn't mean the city can't then jump in and go, wait a minute, let's keep them in Kansas City, Missouri, and that may mean you get to North Kansas City a little bit, or you get a different location.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what that could mean. I'm not saying that a no vote is gonna end things for the Royals, but I'm gonna say that there are a lot of people who want teams. And Nashville is one of the preeminent folks who are shopping. Every time there's negative press about the Royals here in the downtown location, Nashville is nipping at the heels, ready to grab them. Well, we got the space, we got the incentives.
They doing like this.
Kind of like we used to do with. Remember who was it? Like the Pittsburgh Penguins came here when the T-Mobile Center or Sprint Center at the time was getting built, and a couple NBA teams.
It's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And they're not playing. I mean, I think it's the Nashville All-Stars, I think is what they're called. There's a whole website dedicated to recruiting a Major League Baseball team to Nashville.
Wow.
And they've got people from Kansas City on their board with people like Justin Timberlake. And they're serious.
We need to send Tech 9 down there to handle Justin Timberlake. I'm just telling you that right now. Tech, if you go down to Nashville.
We'll tag him in the post.
Tag him, man. No, I mean, I just wanted to ask that, about the overriding, because I think, people aren't really sure what that looks like. I mean, like,
or if that's a thing, if that's possible.
So let me tell you this. I think what you can see in a no vote is both teams saying maybe we don't need to be in Jackson County, and that may mean in the region, that may be in Kansas City, right? Jackson County.
Yeah.
So I think a no vote is a serious message that we should take seriously about possibly losing one or both of our teams. I've said it before, and I've said it again
because
I have heard directly from the horse's mouth that that's what we're talking about.
Right.
And so how we can make a deal work, I think, is better. How do we get the most for taxpayers?
Yeah.
And weighing in, call me, tell me what you want to see.
So all you Royals fans out there, man, get out there and do that,
man. And I'm so glad that we're having this conversation right now too. Not just is it timely, Manny, but I think when I hear you talk about it, honestly, because I know you can't even say neck deep. You're in the water, man, all the way. It's not a fear factor. And I think people say, well, that's a fear tactic. They're just saying that,
okay.
This and that. And hearing you honestly, man, I mean, honestly, I feel that way. I'm like, man, this is for real.
It is for real.
This is for real.
I mean, the same thing is true with the people you send to Jefferson City, right? When you don't show up to vote for your state rep, you don't show up to your school board people, and then you only complain when you got a problem. Same fear is there, right? We just don't realize it until that moment. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, what happened? What happened to them laws? What happened to your votes?
No, good, man, good.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking through that with us, man.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. We just want a winning team.
Yeah.
I don't care if they win downtown or where they're at right now.
I think perspective is important, right? When you said 14 and 15, we had a winning team.
Yeah.
The ownership group sold them out,
Sold
right?
them all,
You're right.
man.
So
they cashed in.
And it goes like this, right? Just give the Chiefs a couple more years, and they ain't gonna always be a winning team,
brother.
So
You tell them, we
there's
lived
a lot of years in them gaps.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who died thinking the Chiefs would never win the Super
Man,
Bowl.
I said it once, I said it 1,000 times, man. We was going to them games too, man, when we were saying it'll be next year.
Yeah.
So like I said earlier, the Chiefs just kind of follow up with, the Royals, ongoings and say, okay, everybody, here's what the new site's going to look like. Did you like what you saw from the Chiefs? And if you did, why?
From the Chiefs?
from the
It
Chiefs.
seemed like it was
okay.
kind of quick.
Yeah.
Like it was a quick throw up pick.
It looked like. Well, I'm gonna let you answer that question.
I'm glad to hear. This is, I watched the video. I did not go to the press conference. I was less than inspired. I will say that. Like I'm excited for some of the changes that they're talking about. The trees added, and I think that helps when we're walking across the landscape of those parking lots. I think as you talk about entertainment opportunities there, I think that would be interesting to see. But I wanted to see bold, and I think that's what I constantly tell. That's what I told John Sherman 2 hours ago.
Right.
I said I need bold leadership, direction. I don't need excuses. I don't need justifications. I need bold vision, bold direction.
Right.
And I would love to see a little bit more boldness from the Chiefs, especially because they're winning, right? Like, look, throw something weird up there. Like, put a Patrick Mahomes idol thing up. I don't care what you do.
Build them a damn
dome.
Yeah. Oh my God! Don't get me started, man.
My wife and I go back and forth on this all the time. She says it'll never happen.
Yeah.
I say, well, maybe not at this stadium.
Yeah, well, they said that either way. I mean, because they want to eventually host a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole plan,
Well,
right?
That's what we were shown, 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, that's what they
was the big
voted.
talk, right?
They
Yep.
voted
It was
no
like,
on that.
We're gonna
From
build
Papa
a dome.
Hunt.
Yeah. And to see other teams do that, right, and beat us to the punch. I mean, Las Vegas, the Raiders got a freaking Super Bowl before Kansas City. I mean,
They weren't there, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, we all
Shout
know.
out to my dad who's lost.
Hey, Manny Abarca. But for me, when I see them, listen. First off, Hunt family, I love you. Don't take anything. We love the Chiefs. So let's start there. But I think to your point, right? I think we're all looking for something like a little bit more. And I'll tell you what really threw me was the price tag. It was like $800 million.
800, right?
$800 million. And the Chiefs are going to put in $300 million. And where's that other $500 going to come from, Manny?
Yeah, that's coming from the taxpayers.
Yeah.
There's more than that, but yeah, I mean, it's a split. So, I mean, at this point, it's a $1 billion overall commitment from taxpayers plus, because it's $1 billion of today's money, not 40 years ago or from the future's money.
Right.
Yeah.
I just mentally struggle with that. Like, man, $1 billion for that? It just kind of blows my mind, to be honest with you, man. I mean, I can't remember, and I know this is a long time ago, and escalation has happened, in construction. I'm well aware of those things. I really hope that more takes place, and I hope that you and others are vocal with this, because as you said earlier, you guys own the stadiums, you own the land. I just think, man, Kansas City. I was anticipating. I'll be honest with you, man. I was anticipating that they were going to build like hotels around it and shit, man. Put a casino there. I don't care, man. Put something there.
Get rid of that Adams mark, right?
I mean, give us a reason to hang out there, after the game or before the game, because we all know tailgating is awesome, man. It's a one-in-a-lifetime thing. But I was looking for more.
Yeah. Well, what I can say is I'll start here because I think this is an important note and nod to why the Royals are considering it. It's not the reason, but it is a reason. The level of deferred maintenance in those two buildings, and I don't know if people know this, but underneath that middle parking lot, there's like a stacked tier below that too. It's like a parking garage type thing. Yeah. And so the level of problems in those areas are astronomical. $40-50 million repairs right there, and just something you'd never see.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big problem in government as you talk about this. Like in this building right now, beautiful. You look outside, $250 million of deferred maintenance right now. And like things like if we don't fix it, it will break and shut the whole building down.
Yeah.
Right. And
it did.
It did several times, in fact.
It did last year or the year before, right?
And so that's an example of how $800 million can go real quick, is that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you also, construction nut site means that they're guaranteed wages for families who are working on those jobs, right? You got standard wages that we're paying people a livable wage and a thrivable wage. And so some of it is that. So, I not to challenge that, that money's not well spent. It's just spent in places that swallow money fast. Right. In terms of like that bold vision, I agree. I thought the same thing. I thought, hey, there's going to be at least one restaurant that give me a Toby Keith or some things.
Give me
right?
a tortilla or something.
Right. Something like and then a hotel attached. Make this an experience to come to. Like my family's talking about driving to Springfield for Buc-ee's, like the gas station. Like,
What?
but people would come here,
and they do. A lot of
Right.
people go there all the time.
Yeah.
But people would come here to check out the training facility. They'd come here to look and tour the stadium, even on off seasons, right? When they're not because they're passing through or whatever.
Man.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
There's opportunity, and I know Mark Donovan made a statement, and I would say a misstatement that there's not enough here to invest in that type of way. I disagree. If you build it, they will come, and so I will be there challenging them on that.
Good,
but also just the investment around it. Right? You talked about the Adams Mark.
Yeah.
There's grand visioning on the Adams Mark. You drive down 70. There's an apartment complex on both sides of that highway that are vacant.
Yeah.
Hundreds of house opportunities right there. Right. Those are guaranteed cheap. So look, bake in with your lease. You get a season ticket. Boom. Now you got people who are automatically coming. Like these types of investments must also be made by not only the teams but our cities.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a balanced benefit there.
Yeah. All to the question earlier, right? What is the responsibility of the city? Where's the responsibility?
it is.
So you're on the show. You're on the phone with them too, barking at them like, "Look, man."
I'm not gonna lie. I've had tough conversations with folks, and then they leave and go, "Ugh," and I walk away and go, "Oh, that was not fun." But this is the work we got to do.
Yeah,
right?
that's what it entitles, man.
My daughter tells me all the time because I'll pick her up from school or whatever, and she's like, "Daddy, you got phone calls?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got phone calls." And if you're just watching me, I'm on the phone constantly. But those are calls from relationships I've built the last decade and a half. Yep. Those are people I pick up. The mayor and I text each other all the time, talking about future things that we got to fix. The council members and I talk all the time about stuff. The gun reform things, I texted them all and was like, "Hey, are you with me on this? Are you with me on that?" So it's that level of work that it takes to be good at this job. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm trying my hardest in these situations.
No, man,
that's obviously what you're passionate about, man, and that's great, man. I applaud you for that, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother, absolutely. So, kind of to that point, man, and I know just like every profession, even mine, I'm sure D-Rod, you got good relationships and you got really good relationships, right? Like you said, I mean, there's people you're going to text and bounce ideas off of and things like that. In the political scene, right, which you're in, right? You're in politics. I think most people think there's two sides. That's it. There's only two sides to this thing. I don't think that's real, man. In your experience, do you see that most people they're not one side or the other? They're open-minded. They want to hear what's going on. Or have you found that no, there actually is two sides?
It depends, right? When I'm in Washington, two sides, guaranteed. Like they are this, we are that. This is this team, this is that team. And I think that's sad because I think to some degree, Washington, I hear, used to be a place where like we'd fight it out in the chambers and then we'd go home and we'd have dinner together. Right. Or our kids would go to school together, right? See them at the plays. But there's been this investment, personal investment in the segregation of our issues, our communities. Yeah. And it's harder to get back together on those things. Right. As we look at here in this building, I play politics. I'll play progressive politics. I use that as like the foundation of where I'm starting, though, right? Like, sure. I even approach some of my Republican colleagues and go, "Look, I know these are some things you don't care about. Let me tell you why I care about it and why I think it impacts your community." And that's how I approach the issue, right? And so we usually do here issue-based stuff. And sometimes they swing Democratic. Sometimes I think about swinging Republican. I ain't saying I always go anywhere close, but when they come,
it takes that mutual agreement, man,
and mutual respect.
Respect, and you got to work together to make it work. You got to work together,
right? And so it's the game board, right? I mean, for me, we got 7 Democrats out of 9, so the 2 Republicans got to work with us. Right. There are times I need one of them, and so it's on the issue for us.
Yeah, and that. Thank you for talking about that because I was like, man, we can't get to a point in society where we hate each other.
Right.
And I think probably some people feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
They feel so strong about I'm over here or I'm over there. Yeah. And I just can't stand the other side. And man, that for me personally, I struggle with. Yeah. I struggle with that because I'm just like, man, we're people.
Right.
Your ideas are an idea no different than my ideas are an idea. But I don't know. Have you experienced some of that hate from people?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you go take me and drop me in anywhere in rural Missouri, and it's like isolation. And there are people who won't talk to me because of the color of my skin, and that's a reality. Or they discount my opinions and thoughts because I look differently than they do, and that's when I slap them in the face with degrees and stuff. But like, but that's the ability to be present and speak your truth and be at the table, right? Because the other thing is, if you're not at the table, then you know you're not there. And that's I was to talk about the proud moment. I had to go home and tell my mom I went to the White House. And I challenged them because we're sitting around the table just like this, 3 staff from the White House. We're talking about gun violence in Kansas City. All my colleagues don't look like me. And I'm listening. I'm hearing all the different perspectives. And the one question I asked was all good. I said, White House staff, do you have any bilingual people on your staff? They looked at each other and was like, no. And I said, then how in the world are you ever going to address issues of gun violence in my community?
Right.
And they go, point taken. And,
Wow.
And it's that level of being at that table to ask that question, to be respected enough to be like, yeah, we need to hear you. We need to hear you.
And I think to the point, man, we hear things like representation matters. Bingo.
Yeah.
That's it right there. That's a perfect example of representation.
All representation.
All
not,
representation.
Not just one population, one
Sure.
segment of that, right?
Sure. I mean, you're there speaking up for, the community.
Right.
Excellent, man. Excellent. You said you see this in Washington. Do you feel like the Washington, atmosphere of political thoughts and opinions has bled down to the county, local level?
Yeah, and I feel like what I would say is progressive democratic ideals oftentimes kneecaps itself by accepting the lowest end of the other issue, right? We say, we do this right now, like Biden's at the border, Trump's at the border, okay? And now the Democrats are starting with, yeah, you're right, we need to build this wall. No, we don't. Why? If we just had a good system that worked, we wouldn't need to build a wall. But we're starting at, yeah, we accept that there's a problem, and we're starting from a solution that does not empower our community, right? But that we go back and say, look, we got 10 years of a waiting line to get in. Of course there's a wall. Like, of course there's going to be people going around that. Like, the issue is not the wall, whether it's there or not. The issue is the line. So, unfortunately, I think as a Democrat myself, I find myself saying I'm willing to accept the lowest, closest conservative thing and starting there instead of starting at, no, this is where I think. I think over here it should be a better system that allows people to come back and forth as they see legally, and the contribution is shared, right? Like we talked about. You live in Kansas, you want to come enjoy our downtown stadium? You might have to pay a little bit. You might have to pay. You're Kansas resident, let me see your ID real quick. Oh, that's $2 more. Okay, moving on.
A little more.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be free, man. Okay.
Bless the bubble.
They probably going to charge me more now that I voiced my opinion.
The Kansas parking spot's about 4 blocks that way.
Oh, damn. And I got to walk. Well, listen, man, I think the work you're doing, man, is incredible. I guess one of my questions, lastly, on this topic before we transition here is just watching you, Manny, from afar, man. Like I remember back in the day, man, we were celebrating birthdays in apartments and things like that. But now your time's limited. You got a family. You got goals and a vision, right, of your current role. But I'm curious, man, for you and your aspirations. I mean, man, when I hear you and just how passionate you are, and man, you are on. Every time I see you, dude, you are on. I don't care if it's in front of a camera or just talking to me and you. I've seen you in Rosedale Barbecue. I mean, you know what I mean? You are on
Fries
all the
are
time. What is that goal, man, for you? Do you have an end goal in mind?
I have said that I will stay until I'm kicked out. And whether it's in this seat or different seat next to me, seat across the street, it is about service to me. And in politics, I have found the moment I start going, I do the Babe Ruth thing. I start pointing for what I want. Is the moment I'm about to get knocked out of the sky. And so I'm not going to say, hey, I want to be mayor, I want to be congressperson, I want to be this, I want to be that. I'm going to say I'm going to keep showing up. And if that earns the next spot, cool. Yeah. But opportunity is something that's going to be knocking on the door,
right?
And I'll answer it in those moments. But for me right now, I'm good where I'm at. I represent 133,000 people, a majority non-diverse district, and my population is 85% like-minded to me and my thoughts. And so I am blessed to be where I'm at, to be able to speak truth to power and power to action. And my passion is here and the purpose is driven.
Nice, man. Well said, man. Well said.
Let's talk about the city just real quick. I mean, I know we've talked about the teams and things like that, but let's talk about Kansas City. You know, our whole thought, Enterrupt KC, our philosophy is Kansas and Missouri, one big metro, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at the KC Wheel, right? I don't know if you've been on that. You know, I went down there a couple of times. The hotel's being built downtown. Of course, Power and Light's been there. College Baseball Hall of Fame in Overland Park. So much going on positively. World Cup, Copa America. You know, there's so much going on for the city. Yeah. And I know, just being a Kansas City boy yourself, man, where do you see the city 10 years, 20 years from today?
So I get the privilege of traveling a little bit with this job, right? And I look around these cities, I talk to these leaders, and I'm thinking, man, why aren't we there? Like, why aren't we at that level, right? I mean, even just as I fly into the city and see the skyline, like, when's the last time we built a skyscraper, like a big one?
Yeah. They got apartments.
Yeah, right. Not 10, 15 floors. Like, when's the last time we built a big building, and for what? And so, and not just that, but the growth. Like, this is why I think a downtown stadium is powerful, because it's going to catalyze a certain element of our city downtown that hadn't been activated like that before. Whether that was East Village or Crossroads, we're talking about a whole nother addition to our city that's going to invite people in. And so we got to keep growing strategically with grand vision and with a really thoughtful intent. And our people, our taxpayers, you ain't brought that up yet, but that's something we can talk about. We got to stick with this on this growth model. We can't stay stagnant, because the moment we are is the moment they go to Olathe. And no offense to you, Jose, but I'm just saying, like, growth is going to happen. Where do you want it to occur? At the Legends or downtown? Right. Because it's going to happen, right? And there may be a time when we've grown to the Legends, but, that growth is going to happen. It's going to be here or somewhere else. Where do you want it?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point, man. And, one of the things I think about, because I've traveled around, man, just like you, been to a lot of the bigger cities here in the United States. They always got a really robust public transportation system. Yeah. And, brother, I look around Kansas City, and I'm like, where we at? Where's it at? Yeah. I mean, do you talk about that? Do you think about that at all?
Oh, man, I've written it into things that I can't tell you about yet. But yes, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think of Denver automatically. And this was Denver in 2008 when I was there, where they had the streetcar going through their downtown area to their stadium. And it was like no one drove to the stadium. They drove the streetcar back and forth. It's that level of catalytic change that I'm talking about we need to think about. And we need to do it efficiently and do it in a way that is strategic. North and south is cool for the streetcar, but sometime we're going to have to go east and west. Yeah. And so I will tell you, at the county, whether strategic or not, we bought an old rail line that goes from downtown to Lee Summit. That is an uninterrupted line, the Rock Island corridor that we own. And guess where it backs right up to? Arrowhead Stadium. Wow. So there are opportunities that I think it's that grand visioning that we need to invest our dollars and our feet, right? Driving that change with our actions. So, it's that kind of stuff that we need to do. Beyond buses. Buses are great, but we need to do much more than that.
Oh, yeah, especially for this population we got here, man.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. That's just one of the things that always sticks out in my mind when I travel.
Well, and Jose, you brought up the regional thing, and I have conversations with good friends like Mike Kelly in Johnson County. Yeah. We were going to get together next week about how do we think regionally, and I think that is the value of some of these young dynamic leaders now in this area, all sides of the state line. Is we're all looking at those solutions. Now we just got to figure out how we get together and pay for it.
And that's exactly the point, right, Manny? I mean, I think the more leaders we can get to think regionally, man, the better off the city's going to be. And I literally mean Kansas and Missouri, right? Kansas City, because I feel like the sky's the limit, man. Yeah. We have finally gotten to a point where we are not a flyover city. People are coming here.
Right.
We're becoming day by day more destination.
Headquarters. We're center of the country. That's why we got the World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, so
World Cup. I mean, hell, even Carlos Gomez, right, on his episode, he shared that the national convention for Hispanic Chambers coming to Kansas City.
That's right. From Puerto Rico.
From Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
and they beat out some big cities, some nice towns. And so, I mean, I just think the work, that leadership, right? You, Carlos, Chris, I mean, so many people are doing so many great things out here. So it's really exciting to see and talk about. I said this to you earlier. You're always on, man. You are always on, man. You are one of the sharpest people in the room all the time. And you've been that way since I've known you.
I'm just trying to keep up with y'all.
Man, come on, brother. Come on, brother.
I don't got a chain like that. I don't got a hat like that.
Listen, man, the dude in Las Vegas, man, I saw this. He's like, "You from?" I was wearing a Chiefs hat.
Yeah.
He's like, "You from Kansas City?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Come check this out."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm gonna buy it."
Yeah. So you got to have it.
Where do you turn off at, man?
At home. You
At
got
home?
to. I mean, these are conversations my wife and I have all the time. It's like, look, you want me put it on? Because I'll put it on. But right now, I don't want to be that. Like, I want to take my shoes off, kick up. Yeah. I want to have bad time with my kids and read them books. And I break down sometimes and talk to my kids about this kind of stuff, particularly my daughter. Right? I mean, she sees all these worlds. And
how old is she?
6. So she turned 6 yesterday.
Wow. Perfect. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And so, and she thinks about these things. But I also am exposing her and my son. Like, my son spent his first Easter at the White House.
Wow.
We went to the Easter egg hunt. And these are things that, like, anyone could go to, but being in this world, we know these kind of opportunities exist. My daughter's one of the first people to be like, "Hey, I want to talk." Okay, well, come on, baby, let's go. You give the speech. Yeah. So, I mean, those.
She's trying to be like daddy, man.
Hey, go ahead, come on. 2024. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it is both off and on, because to me, on for my kids is daddy time. And I try my hardest not to let text or phone calls, but sometimes it bleeds over. And in those moments, I have to tell her what I'm doing, because tell her, tell him, tell my wife, because I want it to matter to them as much as it does to me, and I know they feel it. But I tell my wife, she's a huge Chiefs fan. 9:30? You're on the phone 9:30? Yeah, it's trying to save your Chiefs. Trying to save your Chiefs.
Yeah. I bet them conversations go pretty good and pretty bad sometimes.
Sometimes,
Man, I'll bet.
Got a comfy couch.
Yeah, man. No, I read something else about you that I wanted to ask you about, since we're talking about family, man. I read that you and your family do tamales, right? You guys do tamales, or used to?
Hey, look, that's even a divided subject now in my family. There's one side that does it, there's another side that does it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it is something that I've grown up with.
Yeah, of course, man. We all have.
I don't know what story you caught, but it's something that reconnected my wife and I again after YLP, Young Latino Professionals. And so tamales, my wife calls it. That has always been interwoven in my family. And to me, it is a tradition that I welcome, I enjoy with my children.
Sure.
My son was all in the masa.
So when you're making some more, man.
Hey, whenever you want them, we got them. My dad.
What I read, I don't know how old this was, but like, you guys made thousands of them.
Thousands of individuals. Yeah, I mean, I think usually in the holiday season would be about 150 dozen or so or more.
Impressive, man. Impressive.
And it is. I mean, it's an operation.
Yeah, I love that tamales, man.
Yeah.
No, but that's it, man. We're gonna wrap it up here pretty soon, man. It's got a couple of stationary questions, man, that we like to ask them, man. Like Enterrupt KC, right? Our logo, people, places, and things, man. What's one place that you feel represents Kansas City?
Los Alamos. Like I think I think Gus and folks over there. And I love it because I've seen the growth of his business from the little grocery store, the Mercado, to now to evening time at Los Alamos. I mean, I think that's a good representation of family, of commitment. That's it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I remember that too. He had that little back counter, man.
Couple shelves.
Yeah, man.
I love watching the transition.
Yeah.
Like it was a grocery. Started off, and then quarter restaurant.
Yeah.
3/4 grocery. Then he stuck the bar in there.
Yeah.
And it's like no grocery restaurant.
Then
you
glass
can still
windows.
buy the bar. You can
Glass
still buy the-
windows,
yeah,
right?
you
And
can
then
still go buy
all
the
the
bar.
glass windows now.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. And then another thing I wanted to ask you, man, is we've talked to some teenagers, man, a little bit about things that they expect or expected of them. What kind of advice would you give the younger generation, man, that are maybe looking into doing what you're doing, or unsure of what they want to do?
I think a couple pieces. First is keep trying stuff. Like keep trying stuff that positively impact your life. And then secondly, something that I don't think any of us really had to deal with is social media will be the thing that propels you or holds you back.
Yeah.
And what I mean, not just like the tweets, but the pictures, man. Like social media, that stuff lives forever. And just like your actions, everything you think of is going to have an impact, positive or negative.
Right.
You take that picture. What are you doing? Who's in it? What's in the background? What's laying on the table? Right. These types of things I think kids now are taking for granted, and that stuff lives forever, right? I always scare my interns. Anytime I talk to them in any role, I go and dig through I just Google them, and I look at anything bad I could possibly find. And when I find it, I lay it in front of them in the middle of an interview and say, what's this? And those moments of fear, I mean, that's what I'm talking about, that kind of stuff, right? So, and we play it off, but I'm just showing you, like, if I can go find this.
Yeah, everybody else will.
That's right.
I couldn't imagine, man, like and one day it will be a reality. There's going to be a generation of people who didn't know life before social media. And then think of the generations after them.
Well, I think they're already
right?
here.
Yeah, we're now,
But I'm saying, like, we know the life before social media and our parents
That's
and
right.
grandparents.
Dial
but
up.
one day, we're going to be gone.
That's right.
And then it's going to be the generation that was only around with social media and more. And the thing I think about, Manny, to kind of push on that a little bit is that human-to-human interaction.
Yes.
Man, I mean, think about how we met. We didn't meet on social media,
no.
and I mean, we just, those real relationships you build with people aren't on social media. You're talking about, I got to get in my comment section and this and that. That to me reminds me of social media, So, man, I just wish and hope that, my sons, people I know, your children, they really see us and see like, man, you know what? My dad, they knew people.
That's right.
For real.
Absolutely.
Talked.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
One question I have for you, Manny, this is something I ask everybody. Tell us you're from KC without telling us you're from KC.
Telling me. I can tell you where to get what meat that you need for barbecue, or know which part of the city you're from by saying what kind of barbecue you eat.
That's what's up.
Okay.
All right, let's try that out. Let's try that out. Go ahead, D-Rod.
Where I'm from?
Tell me what's your favorite. When I say barbecue, what do you say? What's your order?
Q39.
Oh, okay. See, well, that was easy. It was Q39. You like high quality meat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And guess where he's from? Right behind Q39.
There it is. There it is. The neighborhood.
Yeah. That's
Westport
where I grew up.
Rosedale Barbecue.
See,
Where
you got
am I
Rosedale
from?
sauce.
Rosedale.
That's right.
You got Rosedale shirt?
I do got a Rosedale shirt.
better.
My wife does too.
I do got a Rosedale shirt.
See?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about your family. My family had Rosedale sauce for everything, and not just barbecues.
They do.
Give me the Rosedales with the Stocco.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Like, all right, go ahead.
I got a sister, man. Shout out to my sister Patty, man. She puts that on everything.
Everything.
Man. She'll drink it out the bottle.
Yeah.
Man.
Hey, listen, Rosedale's taken some hits over the years, particularly over the last 20 years ownership and all that. But, man, their sauce has been very consistent. I mean, it's
And the
been-
fries, right?
Yeah. Oh man, the fries, the mushrooms.
And the
my
crispy
gosh,
fries. Yeah,
man.
the mushrooms too.
What, the crispy fries? Is that what,
that's right. You
Yeah.
gotta
Oh,
get them
man.
extra crispy.
Yeah.
Man, you make me hungry, man.
RC Cola, just the ice. Ooh.
Man, RC,
Yeah,
shout out, man.
All right. Hey, so another one I wanted to ask you, man. What is there a person that you like to express any appreciation for?
I will say, and this is unique, and I'm very privileged to have this type of role model. Emmanuel Cleaver has given me so much mentorship, advice, guidance. He's the man who married me and my wife. He's the man that when I look towards is like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. I text him. We talk. Yeah. When I was in D.C., we caught up. We had dinner. Yeah. That is a man who is not only a civil rights icon, a leader here in the city, but he is still somebody who's giving back and trying to invest in the next generation. And those level of mentors are rare. And I think it's a model that I try and propel onto people that I interact with, my staff, my folks, because people may pay place for me to be, and it's my responsibility to make places for them in the future.
I think you're doing that very well
trying.
already, man.
Look, I need interns, so send people my way. I'm ready.
Well, with that being said, how can somebody, if you're looking for interns, website they get on?
Come to jacksoncounty.gov. Come look for me. Get at me on socials. I've had people reach out. And look, I don't want the people who want to add a line to the resume. I want people who want to work, who want to change things, who want to learn something from this experience, because I will take you to every meeting that I go to. You will sit there with the chief's president. You will sit there with the president. It don't matter to me. I will make the space for you. You just got to have a willingness and willingness to learn. I'm ready.
If I know one thing about Manny
and I'll pay
Abarca,
you.
He's serious. So don't send your kid that don't want to do nothing.
That's right.
To be on the phone.
I'll tell him. That's right. I'll tell him. Sorry.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool. What is your go-to food spot? You mentioned Los Alamos, but what is the go-to food spot when you just want to grab something quick,
or not quick,
or maybe not quick, and you want to take the wife out, whatever that looks like, and what is that order, man?
I know you got a lot, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, so I got two. The first one you were describing is Lily's Cantina. Shout out to Lily's, Teresa, Alexis. That whole crew has backed me up from day one. And I'm not talking about like day one of the campaign. I'm talking about Lily watched me as a kid, as a baby, and was there for my family. And so... and it's incredible food, right? I mean, it is not my wife's food, but it's mine. Hey. And so definitely that for like the neighborhood spot. I'm not going to lie, after my rough day, after the parade, I went to Lily's and I sat there for 4 hours and we just talked. Wow. I talked to people coming in. I had 2 or 3 meals. That is, I think, my community spot. You'll find me. When it comes to like going out, my wife, and enjoying that, I'm not going to lie, the Peanut is probably where you're going to find us. That is not always the classiest, but that's where we get down.
But that's why we there, though.
That's why we get down.
Peanut's good, man. Peanut's good.
Yeah, hey, I love the Peanut, man. They got some wings, and let me tell you something. I gotta give a shout out to the Peanut over in Mission, because that's the one I go to. Man, they got an outstanding game day setup. I mean, man, they do it all. Chiefs games, big games. They do it all, but they got this cook there. He's a chef, and he's Latino. And you know how you look at a restaurant, and let's say a place like the Peanut, right? And you're like, taquitos.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't know.
I've been to Costco. I know what this is like.
There might be some quick trip stuff.
Yeah,
I don't want that. Yeah. I went in there one time, man.
And you got them?
No, my son did.
Oh, okay.
My son got them, my youngest son. And these things come out looking like gourmet flautas.
Ooh.
And I was like,
give me one of those.
Mission,
Give me one of those.
What time it closed?
At the Peanut. And I'm like, huh? And then another thing I love about it is this chef, he brings them to your table.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I was impressed.
Okay.
And so guess what? Next time I went there, give me them flautas.
Yeah.
I don't call them taquitos.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say, you brought it up. There's a Peanut in Mission. There's a Peanut in South KC. There's a Peanut up north. There's a Peanut downtown. I mean, I appreciate that it's consistent everywhere I go.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Them wings, man.
Yep.
I want to get the Peanut owners on this show.
Okay.
Them,
do you know them?
Maybe. Let me see. I don't know. I have to Google it. I have to look it up.
Hey, I want to get them on this
Peanut.
show.
I'm going to tweet at him.
Yeah.
At Peanut.
Hey, we talked about you.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man. Manny, extremely proud of you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. I know, we know
busy,
you're busy, man, and you got a lot of things on your plate. Keep representing the community. Keep representing the city. And
is there anything else you'd like to share, man?
Is there anything else you want to share or talk about real quick?
Look, I'm only as good as the people who stand next to me and behind me. And so, that is what I say is that this is a collective action. I'm only as strong as the people who stand in there with me. And if we don't show up, Election Day, for days when I'm calling for gun reform action. We have a responsibility. It's not just me. You can't look at me and go, hey, he's up there, he's got us. It's got to be he's got us and I got him, and vice versa. Not just for me, but Crispin and Robert, everybody else. And so there ain't going to be times we always agree. In those moments, let's talk about it and not just condemn it, right? And so I think that's the only thing I'd say is, like, this is a mutual thing. I'm not one to be like, here's my card, I'll never call you. You call me if you got a question. Call me if you got a problem. Let's see what we can figure it out. Maybe I don't have the solution, but I'll find the person who does.
That's what's up, man. That's what's
Well
up.
said,
You heard
man.
that right. Here on Enterrupt KC, everybody, people, places, and things, Kansas City.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Abarca.
Thank you for
Thanks for
taking
having me,
time
guys.
out, man.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
JL, D-Rod. Tune in till next time.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.